Cedrik. Okay, good morning, everyone. If the movie starts, or do I need to do something to start the movie? Just a click. Okay, start it. Okay, the first time I heard about Le Corbusier was not in 1925, but during the 90s, when one of my teachers told us Le Corbusier has killed the street. I don't know if he does, but the street was part of the project of Cité Frugès. Cité Frugès was built between 1924 to 1926. Originally, it was 7 model of house, but nowadays 6 are still existing. You see on the sketch, different models was been realized. From the initial plan, only the southern part has been realized. On this map, we will show you the built mass, but also the connection lines, which are streets and pedestrian pathways. In blue now, the line connections. So, from this one, you have the situation of the built area. The red arrows I will show you now are the direct view from the living rooms of each single houses. You can see that they intercept the street, but also some houses between each other. You can see on the right side, some blocks of buildings very close to each other. The only thing Le Corbusier has done to reduce and minimize this promiscuity was to build concrete walls, very small one, about 2 meters 8. And it was the only situation he has built into the gardens and to prevent from the promiscuity, but not on the street. To divide the parcel, each parcel, he also recommends to build some transparent fences like this one. But this creates more space in between houses, but also create situation that can be arranged with plantings. You see now, from nowadays, mature plantings inside the area. We will now look from each model how the treatment between the buildings and the street. The first one is arcade. On the ground floor, you see long windows. These long windows are where the living rooms are. This is the farthest buildings from the street. You see the buffer from the street to the house, and on the top is the park. This is the view from the inside of an arcade house. You see the street is a bit long, and the buildings are also higher than the streets. In this way, it protects the inhabitants from unwanted looks. You see now, from the street, the buffer and the living room on the ground floor. And with planting, the house is really protected from public domain. Let's go now to another model, the twin houses. They are established at the same distance from the streets, from the same reason, because the living rooms are on the ground floor. And very large living rooms. You see the situation with the street and the situation of the 2 houses. And when there is no plantings, the street is very closed. That's the reason why Le Corbusier recommends on the sketches to plant some hedges and bushes. This is the situation, one of the situation of twin houses. You see, with young planting, it's still open to the private look. But if you, in this situation, which is a mature planting, the house is really protected. Let's go now to what we call the zigzag. It's an intermediate situation with the street. The zigzag is made of 3 houses, and you see the combination of the 3 houses. This is the situation from 1926, when it was there was a ceremony with the French minister. You see the buffer, and you can see variable distance from the public area. It depends on the situation of each house. This is the worst situation, where the living room is very close to the street. To prevent from this, all the inhabitants plant higher bushes and hedges. This is the situation, another situation where the utility room are. And you see very small windows, and another one on the left. The living rooms are open to the south and to the private area. We go now to the third model, which is the Varina. Varina was supposed to be only lived on the first floor. This is why you see only the long windows on the first floor, because on the ground floor it was only cellars and utility rooms. The situation is a dead-end street and also pedestrian pathway. This is the view from the first floor, quite nice view. And then a view from and to the pedestrian pathway. It's on the north. So this is a very, very specific, sorry, I missed this is the situation from the street, the dead-end street, where a lot of people came when they visit the place. And one of the situations at night where you can see nothing. A very typical block from Cité Frugès is what we call Kangaroos. Kangaroos is made of 5 or 6 inverted houses, and on the facade you can see one large windows, but also cellars on the other one. It's inverted. You see, the buffer is not very big. So this is the view from the living room. And this is the view from the cellar. And the kitchen is under. You see, the kitchen is also protected. In this situation, like this one, the cellar, you look to the cellar, you don't really need to plant a lot. In this case, with all the blocks, you can notice that the bushes and the hedges are higher when you have long windows on the facade of the street. We will finish now with the skyscrapers. The skyscrapers was supposed to be only lived from the first floor to the third floor. The ground level was only a garage and a penthouse. The view from the first floor is always still down to the street, so protected from the unwanted looks. This is one view, direct view from a skyscraper, and you see it's in between 2 houses, 2 model of houses. It was also a plan of Le Corbusier to avoid direct watch from each other. This is from a skyscraper, the western view. This is the northern view. You see, the ground level is not, you can't live, you don't live in the northern part. And this is the eastern part. The southern part is private and dedicated only to the inhabitants. Now we'll show you some movies you're probably not able to see when you visit the place, but I hope it will explain this very specific situation of the streets in this area. In this situation, you see skyscrapers, you see Kangaroos, twins before, the Varina and the arcade. This is the arcade, and on the right side, the skyscraper, the Varina above. This is arcade as well, again. This is twin houses and Kangaroos. This is skyscraper. You see, noticed one house was to be rebuilt. And skyscrapers as well. Notice all the situation between the streets and how Le Corbusier managed to organize this thing to have a very specific way of living inside this area. This is the Kangaroos. And a cat. And a cat, yes. And this is a general view. You see the zigzag at the bottom, the skyscrapers and the Kangaroos on the right side. You see, the skyscrapers are established very close to the street. Thank you very much.